All right, good evening, everybody. My name's Heather Abbott. I'm standing in for Dave Johnson, who is not with us tonight. I want to welcome you all to a new presentation from Dr. Gary Lindner, part of his Self-Care Awakening presentation. This is a new series called Weight Matters. Dr. Lindner is going to be joined with his plucky cohort here, Walter Strauss.
Plucky.
I love that. Plucky.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys if you want to get started.
Well, let's start it with Sparks since he's so plucky. While I'm sharing screen, Sparks, why don't you welcome everybody and.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this presentation. You're actually in for a treat today because Gary is going to give a presentation that he has not given yet, and I think that you will love it, you will like it, and it will be very informative. And are you ready yet, Gary? Oh, I also wanted to say, if you have questions, there is a Q&A section down at the bottom of your menu, down at the bottom of your screen. It should say Q&A, and you should see a red one there. That's because Julie wished Rex a happy birthday. So with that, let's turn it over to Dr. Gary, the one true love of my life.
Well, thank you, Sparks. I appreciate that, and not quite sure how to respond to that either. So, but anyways, Sparks, don't mute yourself yet because I have a couple questions for you.
Oh God, the pressure's on now.
Pressure is on, and we've been doing a number of these Self-Care Matters series, you and I together. And thank you, Heather, for hosting the show this evening. I appreciate that as well. And I think you'd agree with me that our life really is about choices and a series of choices, especially in the context of what we've been talking to people about. Would you agree?
Yes, most definitely.
And I love the way you expand on those questions when I ask them to you. Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, life is a series of choices. We make choices every single day, and they all add up.
They do.
They all add up to where we've been to where we're going for tomorrow. Sure. And while we're on the subject, Steve, why don't you get me wound up? I get in trouble, Dr. Gary. While we're on the subject, tomorrow never gets here because when it's here, it's today, and then you've got a whole new set of circumstances to set yourself up for tomorrow.
Well, absolutely. And I think if we would make a choice there, we'd choose to be healthy. Wouldn't we, as opposed to unhealthy or have some type of health condition?
Well, normal people would. I don't know about Heather, but other normal people would probably choose to be healthy. I don't know if one person says, "Yeah, I want to be sick all my life."
No, I don't know either. So really, what we're talking about with self-care here is being healthy by choice, not by chance. We define self-care as an active process through which people become aware of and then make choices towards a healthier life. And Sparks and I shot a 4-minute video just the other day, and we spun for Sparks Health. So I set up a Wheel of Fortune. Basically 10 to 15% of the pies on that fortune said healthy. And you spun the wheel, did you not?
I did, and it didn't turn out too well.
Yeah, you turned out unhealthy, didn't you?
Yeah. In fact, I even tried to reverse my health, and it still didn't work out.
Well, you
just ended up with another chronic disease.
You begged me to spin again.
Yeah,
I had to. But what we learned from that really is you got one chance at this. So being healthy by choice, even though this is really a simple concept, is something that's very important to all of us in our lives. Because if we don't have our health, what value are we to the others in our lives that we care about, that we love? Pretty much not much. We aren't really of a benefit. We're more of a burden, if you will. So here's what we're talking about when we're talking about being unhealthy. We're talking about a whole host of chronic diseases, a whole host of chronic diseases that are preventable. It's our major expense. We spend $3 trillion a year in this country, in the U.S., on health every year. And about 86% of that, nearly 90%, is treating and managing chronic diseases. The statistics are against us. If we take this as a gamble, let's just take for average, by the time we're 65, 80% of us have one or more chronic diseases. It becomes our biggest expense. It's the biggest cause of death. It's the biggest cause of disability, or basically a low quality of life, or poor quality of life, if you will. And Sparks and I, in one of our videos, talked about a recent television commercial. And this was from what used to be our corner drugstore, which is now called your corner wellness center. And here's what it said. It said 26 million Americans are diabetic, 54 million are at risk. Don't worry, we can treat and manage your diabetes so you can lead a normal, productive life. Now, for those of you listening this evening, I don't know if that makes you mad. It makes me mad because it's a brainwashing of our society to say chronic disease is a normal part of life. And as far as I'm concerned, that's an insane notion. And the whole purpose behind self-care is to empower people to make choices to be healthier so that we can change that. I find it very unacceptable. Just as a human being, let alone a physiologist, that over 80% of us in our lifetime have chronic diseases that could have been prevented. So really, what we want to talk about tonight is weight matters. And we're going to talk about this in a number of different concepts. And it's, if you look at this nice little infographic that Heather made, and thank you very much, you're very talented, by 2050, 1/3 of Americans will have type 2 diabetes. I don't think we find that acceptable at all. And let's kind of just start with what we're talking about. This is a recent paper just published in April 2016 by one of the oldest, most reputable medical journals, The Lancet from the UK, that pretty much says that population-wise globally, that the number of people, obese people, outnumber, what does it say there? I can't read the thing. But anyways, obesity outnumbers thin people for the first time in history. Now, let's look at this, say, 70 years ago, 80 years ago. Malnutrition, being too skinny, being too thin was probably the main nutritional problem. And I'm not sure we've increased our nutritional status, because really when we're talking about overweight or obesity, we're talking about chronic malnutrition there as well. We aren't really consuming the types of nutrition that our body needs to be healthy. So this is a pretty encompassing, as you can see from the information on the slide here, study. So really, things have kind of changed, and we're really looking at a problem of being overweight, obesity, which leads then to diabetes and a whole host of other chronic diseases. If we look at weight management issues here in the U.S., figures for 2014 are posted, 2015 are not yet. Over $60 billion was spent affecting 1/3 of our population here in the U.S. of 100 million people. So people are searching for answers. And I'm not sure they're really getting the ones that are the most effective. If we look at obesity per country, guess which country leads? The prints there small, but it's the United States, of course. 2/3 of our population are overweight or obese. That's nearly 70% of us. And 1 out of 3 are obese, 36%. And 1/3 of our children are overweight. And these are all figures from the Center for Disease Control. If this trend continues unabated, by 2030, it estimates that really half of all men and women in the U.S. will be obese, clinically obese. So what is the solution here? And we've all been taught this solution for decades. I mean, ever since we were very small, probably for the last 60, 70 years. And we all know it to be diet and exercise. Now, diet and exercise is important, but I think it's only a small part of health. It's just a portion of health, but it's the one thing that people spend the most time talking to us about. Oh, if you have that, you need to make lifestyle changes, you need to change your diet, you need to exercise, you need to become more active. And I'm not saying these are bad things, these are good things, but they're only a piece of the puzzle. Now, the other thing here that really from our perception is that as individuals, we're very resistant to change. And if somebody's talking to an individual about changing their lifestyles and being resistant to change, chances are they usually aren't going to do it. So this is an effective way of maybe for weight management when it comes to an individual. My perception of it here is it's not an effective way when you're talking about it on a societal basis, because most people won't do it. And many times, even in the face of death, they won't make those lifestyle changes. So really not effective. There are some issues here that we want to talk about, and I'm going to give a little plug for a documentary that you can find online called Fed Up. And what Fed Up, listen to it. It's about 90 minutes long, I do believe. It is very enlightening as to some of the issues that are really causative effects for the weight management or weight matter problems that we have. And here's one of the things that they talk about, and really it all has to do with sugar, refined sugar. And look at this, a 16-fold increase in the amount of sugar that we consume as individuals in a relatively short period of time. So if we look at that, we have to say, or ask the question, can our body handle that? And here's the way I'll respond with it. Unless our pancreas were the size of our livers, there's no way that we could handle this, because we change very slowly biologically. So 130 pounds of sugar per year. There are 600,000 food items in the US. 80% of these have added sugar. Now, if I were to ask you to do one lifestyle change, and start looking at labels. I was talking with a gal with Rex earlier this afternoon, and we were talking about this same subject. And I said, just check frozen green beans. Now, who would ever think that sugar would be added to frozen green beans? And depending on the brand you may purchase, it's anywhere to 4 to 6 grams of sugar per serving, which I think is usually a half a cup in frozen green beans. So if you take that and take that cumulatively from all the different types of food items you may be purchasing, you can see how that sugar just kind of just sneaks in, and we aren't even aware that that's something that we're consuming. So if 40 teaspoons of sugar a day, think about that for a second. Think about that in the number of waking hours you have in a day, and how many teaspoons of sugar would you be eating an hour to do that? 2.5, 3 teaspoons an hour, whatever that may be. Would you ever knowingly do that? And no one really ever would. So 6 surprising foods that have more sugar than a Twinkie. I thought that might be fun to show. Yogurt, loaded with sugar, loaded with added sugar. Tomato sauce, granola bars. Fat-free salad dressing may have reduced the fat, but they increase the sugar to make it more palatable. Muffins, canned fruits. Sugar acts on our body on a physiological basis just like a drug might. We become addicted to that sugar. Our brain wants that sugar as another reward. And so when we're consuming sugar, if we don't continue to feed that addiction, if you will, and some have said it's as addictive as cocaine, lights up the same centers of the brain when they look at it through an encephalograph. So then the body says, I need more sugar, and I crave sweets. We crave carbohydrates. So how would you know if you're hooked on sugar, or if you have that addiction? If you crave sweets, if you crave carbohydrates, if you lose control and say, gosh, I just got to stop into that donut shop, Sparks Johnson, today, and sorry, couldn't resist that one. But just you don't really have as much control over there as what you're consuming, because basically that addiction or that craving for sugar is driving your behavior. If you're frequently hungry, and if you're sitting down to eat and you eat more than you plan to eat, that may be some symptoms that you have a sugar addiction. Some important facts to know is 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon. Again, just to reiterate this fact, in 1822, we had about 2 teaspoons a day. Currently, at least in 2012, the average American consumes 40 teaspoons a day. The recommended daily consumption of sugar for women is about 6 teaspoons a day, and for men, about 9 teaspoons a day. So we are, in both genders, way over that maximum recommended daily consumption. And again, I have to ask the question, how do we expect our bodies to take care of that? And it really can't. And we end up with weight issues, diabetic issues, and the list can go on and on. So how would we go about breaking this? The best way to do it is with protein. Eating protein is an easy way to curb sugar cravings. It's better digested. High protein foods are digested more slowly, keeping you feeling full longer. Protein doesn't make blood sugar spike the way refined carbs or sugars do. Nikken, your self-care company, has an excellent solution for this, and it's called Kenzen Vital Balance. This is, in my opinion, probably the best protein shake supplement on the planet. I have showed this to many, many people with advanced degrees in nutrition. They look at the label, and their response to me is, somebody really did their homework putting this product together. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the product per se, and the reason being is whoever sent you this presentation this evening can send you to their personal webpage, their Nikken page. You can look at videos, you can look at the brochure, you can look at a quick reference sheet, you can look at the ingredients and everything else that's associated with the Kenzen Vital Balance. It's brain food. It's like you drink this first thing in the morning, you aren't hungry, you feel good, it wakes you up. Medium chain triglycerides, which are absorbed and processed through the liver very quickly, go right to the brain to help feed the brain, increase your alertness. I start every morning with a shake of Kenzen Vital Balance. It comes in chocolate and it comes in vanilla. It is truly a self-care weight management solution. It is real food. It is natural food. It is full of probiotics. I think my next slide shows what it has. So this kind of shows everything that's in there, and so then the support for the different physiological aspects that we're looking for as far as appetite regulation, cleansing, detox, cognitive mental functions, digestive health. There's actually more probiotics in one serving of Kenzen Vital Balance than there is in like 10 servings of yogurt. And for much less the cost, I might add as well, and much healthier and much less sugar as far as that goes. It stimulates our metabolism to get into a fat burning mode. It helps because of the probiotics with nutrient absorption and because of the protein source for formation of lean muscle. I have a number of my nephews that are pretty avid bodybuilders, and they utilize this product to build lean muscle and have found it more beneficial than any others that they have bought in any commercial enterprises that are usually full of lots of different types of protein sources, some that we may not want. The ones that I do not recommend would contain whey or soy, soy being a lot of times a GMO soy, genetically modified plant. Whey coming from the dairy industry. Most dairies use recombinant bovine growth hormone, and that will be in the dairy products that they produce there as well. So things that we have no artificial coloring, no artificial flavoring. The other thing I want to talk about when we're talking about weight matters is sleep quality. And if we aren't sleeping, we should get 7.5 hours of good sleep a night. Many of us don't. It's estimated 75% of Americans do not get that much sleep, and they carry a chronic sleep debt. Now, when you do that, your energy levels are lower, your metabolism's lower, and all of a sudden you just, during the day, you're craving carbohydrates to get more energy. So poor sleep quality, one of the symptoms of that is weight gain, being overweight, obesity. And sleep is every bit as important as diet, exercise, or your genetic makeup. This is a quote from William C. DeMint from Stanford University, the father of sleep medicine, if you will. It is the most empirical element for predicting health and longevity. And the way we do that with Nikken, the way we provide that self-care, is what we call adaptive sleep technology. And again, these are all products, technologies, solutions that you can look at the personal webpage. But we have to talk about sleep here when we're talking about weight matters. So let's just take those two things. Let's take the amount of sugar that we're consuming and poor sleep. What are the chances that you're going to be lean and mean? pretty rare. All right. So that's just two things. Now, the other thing we want to talk about, and each of these have their own self-care awakening presentations, sleep matters, water matters. Hydration. Now, hydration, water is important for every physiological function in our body, including digestion, and including absorption of nutrients, including metabolism of those nutrients, and including elimination of the byproducts of those. So if we are not hydrated, we may have some weight issues. And the two centers in the brain that control thirst and hunger are very close to each other anatomically. And many times when we feel hunger, we're really thirsty. So use this, drink some very good water if you're feeling a little hungry. And that hunger sensation more than likely will go away most of the time. The way we provide this through self-care with Ken is what we call a waterfall. It's basically a healthy, alkaline water that is all the toxic chemicals and things that aren't good for our health is removed. Then we restructure the water, we provide it in a alkaline manner. We put minerals back in, and basically the same concentrations that our body would like them to be in a healthy water. People that a lot of times don't like to drink water change to drinking the water from the waterfall, the Niken water, if you will, and all of a sudden their behavior with water changes. And again, here's another issue that I think that leads to a lot of weight issues and weight problems in the U.S. 75% of us walk around chronically dehydrated every day and feeling hungry and end up overeating. So a lot of times when people are trying to reduce weight, and don't get the idea that Ken's and Vital Balance and some of these products are just for reducing weight. They also can be used for increasing weight or gaining more weight or more lean muscle. They are a management system, not necessarily a diet or just a weight loss type thing. But if somebody's trying to reduce weight, many times they have lower energy because they have reduced their caloric intake. Now, here's a great product that Niken has that fits in here with self-care, and it's called 10-4. And before we started the recording, as I mentioned, we call Sparks 24 because he loves this product so much. But I do too. It's a great solution. I was talking to somebody the other day in the grocery store who told me he was addicted to energy drinks. And my response to that was, just look at the sugar. Usually in one serving, there's 57 grams of sugar, which is nearly double what his maximum consumption should be per day. If he continues along those lines, my opinion is that he's probably going to be pre-diabetic within a year or two, and diabetic within another 2 or 3, because his body's just not going to be able to handle that. Plus the other things in there that are added to the energy drinks are very unhealthy. The caffeine sources are synthetic. Our body reacts to synthetic caffeine very differently than it does from a natural caffeine, say from matcha green tea. But another way to just kind of provide some more energy to increase your metabolism, and an excellent product. Lots of great antioxidant benefits to this product as well. And we have our newest product that might fit into this category called the Ken's and Paleo Bar. Now, these things taste great. They're great to curb a hunger pang, if you will, during the day as a snack. They are 100% certified organic from EcoCert. They are competitively priced within the market, and very easy and handy to take with you. So many times when I'm on the road, I have them in my truck with me, and if I feel a little hungry, I either have one of the fruit tasting ones or the chocolate tasting ones. I like both of them equally. It just depends on which one I pick up. So self-care awakening really is about being healthy by choice, not by chance. And I think the weight matters part of this is very important. It's something we can all pay attention to. We can make some very simple choices to be healthier. I might add, in the last, say, 7 weeks, I've lost 27 pounds since I knowing I was going to do this presentation, and I like to walk my talk. So I increased my water consumption. I actually put myself on a more regimented sleep cycle. Started to go to bed a little earlier than I usually do. I used to be up very late. and getting up earlier. And basically through that, replace 2 meals a day with the Kensington Vital Balance. If I feel a little hungry in the afternoon, I have a 10-4. If after that, I just continually drink water throughout the day. So just given that personally, I pretty much am turning into a lean, mean fighting machine, right, Sparks? Just nod. So, but I feel better. I have more energy, and I think any of us can do those things. So if you're new to this call this evening, my advice would be to take a look at some of our self-care information, pick the series or the presentation that interests you the most. Either, this one, weight matters, water matters, sleep matters, air matters, which Sparks does an eloquent job of presenting it. And very soon we will also have a light matters, energy matters presentation as well. But you have an opportunity here with no obligation, and it's free to open your own self-care portal for you and your family and register as a customer. You have the direct ability to order Nikan products there. You have first access to new products and specials, or you can purchase them from the existing Nikan consultant that sent you to this presentation. But take this seriously. And really, it is absolutely insane to think that chronic disease is a normal part of life. It is not. Most of those things that plague us, that are our biggest expense, our biggest problem, our biggest industry in this country is the healthcare industry, $3 trillion a year. Let's all pay attention to this. Let's reverse that to where not 80 or 90% of us have a chronic disease, but maybe only 10%, which is what the normal population might be. And I think we'd all live in a much happier, healthier world. We'd walk around with more smiles on our face and be a little friendlier to each other too. It's hard to do that when you aren't feeling very good. So choose to be healthy by choice, not by chance. And again, just to reiterate, because your chances aren't very good.